Okay, so you guys wanted a deep dive into the Diddy allegations, and let me tell you, this thing goes deep.
It really does. Like, way deeper than I think either of us expected.
Right, between Jaguar Wright's accusations and then seeing how everyone from Jay-Z to Beyoncé is reacting, or, well, not reacting.
That's the thing. It's less about what's being said and more about who's staying silent, which is, like, deafening in its own way.
Exactly. So, to set the stage, we're diving into this Popcorn Planet video on YouTube, and they really break down the Diddy situation, particularly Jaguar Wright's recent interview with Piers Morgan.
Yeah, and in that interview, she does not hold back at all.
Not even a little.
She goes straight for it, calls Diddy and Jay-Z monsters, says they're involved in a victim-making machine, and that this goes way back.
And she names names, like explicitly calls out Beyoncé, which makes the silence from people like her and Jay-Z even more interesting.
Oh, 100%. Because when someone like Jaguar Wright, who's outspoken but maybe doesn't have the same level of, like, industry power as a Jay-Z or Beyoncé, makes these claims, it's the silence from those at the top that really speaks volumes.
Totally. It's like everyone's watching how the people with the power are going to react, and so far, it's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, and it makes you think about the power dynamics at play here, right? Like, how many people might have stayed silent over the years because they were afraid of what would happen if they spoke out against someone like Diddy?
Okay, so let's get into some of these reactions, or, well, lack thereof. We've got Ashton Kutcher doing some serious damage control. He's claiming zero involvement with Diddy, says he's only been to a few of his parties, and even suggests Diddy would make stuff up about him.
It's an interesting legal strategy for sure. Like, he's basically getting ahead of any potential lawsuits by saying, nope, wasn't really friends with the guy, just went to a couple parties.
Right, but then you see pictures of him at way more than just a couple parties thrown by Diddy. And then you've got Elon Musk saying he was totally unaware of these allegations against Diddy.
Which is wild, considering Diddy was an investor in Twitter, which Musk now owns.
Exactly. It's like, come on.
And then Aubrey O'Day chimes in and basically says that Musk's friends knew about this whole thing, which kind of throws a wrench in that whole I was clueless narrative.
It's like they've got their legal teams working overtime to craft these statements.
Right, like damage control central over there.
Totally. But even with that, it still begs the question, when you're part of a system like Hollywood, are you obligated to speak up when you see something wrong, even if it means risking your own career?
Man, that's a tough one.
It really is.
Because, yeah, ideally, you'd hope people would use their platforms to advocate for what's right no matter what. But Hollywood, that's a whole other beast.
It's all about image, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And the consequences for rocking the boat can be huge.
It's not even just Hollywood, though. Think about whistleblowers in big corporations, athletes who call out abuse in their sport. It's incredibly brave to go up against that kind of power, especially when you often end up facing those consequences alone.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the biggest example of silence in this whole Diddy thing. Jay-Z and Beyoncé.
It's deafening, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, you're talking decades of friendship, business deals, collaborations. Those ties run deep.
Deep. And let's not forget, Jaguar Wright directly accused both of them.
She named them outright. And what do? Crickets. No statements, no social media posts, nothing.
Which, in a way, speaks volumes.
Right. It's like their silence is screaming the message louder than any statement ever could.
It really highlights those power imbalances we were talking about and just how risky it can be to speak out against someone like Diddy, even if you're as big as Jay-Z and Beyoncé.
Totally. And, you know, it wasn't just celebrities mentioned in the video. Remember the lawyer who came on after Jaguar Wright?
Oh, yeah. The one who called out Vlad TV?
Yes. And what she said is so important because it adds another layer to this. She stressed how crucial it is to have legal representation in these situations.
Yeah.
Especially when you're going up against someone powerful.
Right, because the legal ramifications can be huge.
Exactly. And she really went after Vlad TV, accusing him of basically siding with Diddy and brushing off everything Jaguar Wright said. She even called him a culture vulture, which honestly could be a whole deep dive on its own.
Oh, for sure. And that's what's so interesting about this whole thing. It's sparking all these other conversations about accountability, the role of the media, and whose voices we choose to listen to and amplify.
It's like this Diddy scandal is a bomb that just exploded in the middle of Hollywood. And we're watching the fallout hit everyone, even those who claim to be innocent bystanders.
And the crazy thing is, we've only seen the tip of the iceberg. This Popcorn Planet video just scratches the surface of a much bigger, much messier story.
It really makes you wonder what else is going on behind the scenes in Hollywood. behind all the glitz and glamour. I mean, it does feel like we're watching something major go down. You've got someone speaking out, others trying to protect themselves, and this huge question mark hanging over the whole thing.
It's that not knowing that really gets you. Like, who do you believe? What's really going on here? Especially if you or someone you know has been in a similar situation, that ambiguity can be brutal.
It's a good reminder that for all the glitz and glamour, Hollywood's built on a system of power, and that system doesn't always protect the people who need it most.
Exactly. And what we see happening with Diddy, it's not some isolated incident. That same power dynamic, who has it, who doesn't, who benefits from staying silent, it's everywhere, not just in entertainment.
It really makes you think, like, how much are we all playing into this? By loving pop culture, are we kind of complicit in a system that doesn't always do the right thing?
That's the big question, right? And it's not like there's an easy answer. It's tough to reconcile loving the show part of show business while this darker side is going on.
We get so caught up in the gossip, the drama, but we have to remember there are real people behind those headlines.
Yeah.
Their lives are being affected both by the accusations and by the silence that follows.
And that's why these conversations are so important. By talking about it, by asking questions, by supporting those who speak up, maybe we can create some actual change.
So what do we do? When we see something like this happening, something that feels so much bigger than us, how do we make a difference?
Honestly, I think it starts with awareness. Educate yourself about how these systems work. Don't be afraid to have those uncomfortable conversations.
And support those organizations who are out there fighting for what's right, who are helping the victims and holding the powerful accountable.
Exactly. And be mindful of where you're getting your information. Who are you listening to? Who are you choosing to amplify?
And if you see something that feels wrong, say something. Even if your voice shakes, even if you're not sure it'll make a difference. Sometimes that's all it takes to break the silence.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Wow, we really went deep today, huh?
That's what we do here. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll catch you next time when we go beyond the headlines, right here on The Deep Dive.